Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. My name is Jason, the creator of the mod, and I'm here with another update. 1.4H just rolled out, and I wanted to do a quick summary plus give you guys a status update on how 1.5 is going, the Armor Overhaul. So much new content's right around the corner, and I wanted to make sure to get you guys some quality of life updates while you guys are continuing to give me feedback. There are a couple of bugs that are still inside the mod that I am continuing to work on, but with this big push towards 1.5, I'm putting all my efforts into trying to drive forward this new armor system. And then once 1.5 releases, I'm hoping to have all these fixes and all this stuff rolled into one. So please stand by for 1.5's release. But in the meantime, here's a quick summary of what 1.4H has brought. So the big focus for this update was providing you with a new set of options with the trader and how you're interacting with the world as far as finding the unique items that are provided by the mod, but then also just finding items from the vanilla game at these traders. I've noticed as I've continued to travel around the world that some of the things are limited where, you have systems in the game that were added on later that don't really show up as you play the game with the new weapons that I've added with the mods, such as the crossbow, the flamethrower, the bows, the throwing weapons. I wanted to start to get these a little bit more into the world, and by doing that, or to help support that rather, I went ahead and added some more options for the traders and made those traders contain a little bit more useful items as you access each one around the wasteland. So the idea is that when you head to the traders, you will start to see more things like grenades, my throwing weapons. You can find things like the camouflage. So if you're early on and you're trying to get access to camouflage without having to fight endless hordes, you can purchase it from the trader. Different pieces, the armor, you can find it here. If you want to find the new blueprints, you can find new blueprints. If you want to purchase the new flamethrowers, you can find those randomly. One of the big things that I included was being able to purchase bolts and arrows. So you will get this warning that says no space for this item. You can basically ignore that. And once you go in here to hit purchase, you can now start to purchase crossbow bolts and also arrows around the world. You can also get all the new custom bolts that have elements added to them, all the element arrows, you can find those in the world, all the base building content, all of the companions, all of that information has now been, not information rather, I apologize, features have been added to the traders around the world. So as you travel around the world and you're rescuing different groups and you're interacting with these traders, make sure to check out what they have in their storeroom, because you can now find things like flamethrower fuel and also gasoline. The rare gasoline can also be found at the traders. So make sure to just check it out, see what you can purchase. I've also gone around and done some global price modifications. I've reduced some of those prices on some of the items from the mod to balance those out a little bit better. Please make sure to be a part of the Discord community if you're not so far, and make sure to give feedback on prices, especially with these different items. What I need to know is the specific name of the item, the quality if available, such as the color, the tier, and the current price that you saw, and what you think a more reasonable value would be. So for some of these things, especially like the throwing weapons, I've tried to decrease their price, but also for the higher tier ones, especially ones that you can modify when you're throwing and impacting with the enemies, those are more expensive. But I do want to try to keep a good balance, and especially a lot of members have reported to me that the economy is especially kind of weirdly balanced, to where at a certain tier you're just no longer really utilizing the monetary system. It really just kind of, you end up with way too much money and not really a lot to purchase. So I hope this goes a long way for you guys to be able to start to purchase things again, start to explore the wasteland, and tear up the city. For the Patreon supporters, I've released a new update as well, which this content I'm calling the Never Have to Work Again update. Let me go ahead and showcase that. Basically, first of all, as always, thank you guys for your support. For those of you that are new to the mod, the Patreon content is just basically an immediate access to all content throughout the mod. If you want to be able to see all the armors, all the weapons, all the legendary tier things, all the skins, you can just use utilize the Patreon content, unlock one of those tiers, and then you can immediately get access to that content by adding the mod that's available through the Patreon site. Once you do that, you'll start to see something more along the lines of this. So once we load this up, and I will mention that this is an older save game, so it does have this gray square, which I will go ahead and mention. I wanted to actually bring one of these save games online because I wanted to mention that for the mods that are for the save games that have the older versions of the mod or that were updated during the process of an official update coming out and you were using an older version of the mod, you can sometimes end up with this result. I'm working overtime on the Armor Overhaul to try to basically maintain all of the armors that have already been introduced by the game or by the mod previously, so that everybody will maintain their original items. A lot of this happened where I was early on exploring with new weapons and new armor systems, new items, and as I changed the identifiers for those objects over time and over updates, it actually messed up some of the links between the metadata of that item and your inventory, so it baked in that gray cube. That could also be due to other mods such as Bub's gun weapon system and several of the other mods that add content. So when an official update comes out, make sure you're backing up your save, make sure you know what mod you have installed, or you could end up with something like this, which makes it very difficult to remove from your inventory. There's not a lot you can do here, so I did want to bring that up and mention. Please make sure you're backing up your saves as you go, just so that you don't end up with something like this. It's kind of a minor inconvenience, but it's also kind of annoying. I do understand. So if you've installed this, up here at the top are the items that are available for all standard users. So if you're new to the mod, you should immediately get these here at the top. But if we scroll down, we've got several things. So this is actually the Ultimate Survivor Patreon content, which contains more bundles, including the Easter eggs hidden inside the game and things that I'm finding as I'm going along, but then also some of the higher tier things that I've added to the mod that you can't get through the casual supporter tier. So first and foremost is the XP boost bundle. So let me go ahead and redeem this. Basically, I wanted to create a way for you guys to be able to enjoy playing the mod enjoy playing the game very quickly. For those of you who have started over and you don't want to have to grind to unlock those skills again, this is a way for you to immediately boost your game or boost your save game to where you're able to get some of those gains immediately without having to wait and continue to kind of grind through the quest to level up. You can simply use this system to quickly boost your stats, and let me show you how here in a second. We also have the Trophy Exchange Bundle. That was from a previous update, but that allows you to exchange all your different items. I'm not going to go through each one of these items as there's quite a few bundles. I'm going to stick to the ones that are specific to this update. So if we scroll down here, I believe once we get about halfway down, you'll start to see a couple of different bundles. I have not set these in stone as far as going and actually giving them the uppercase names and all the things, adding them to the inventory system. I want your guys' feedback on this update, and then I'll start to add those systems in with 1.5. So just let me know what your thoughts are, but let's go ahead and pull some of these. So for example, if you wanted to get like the military tech bundle, you can actually go and redeem that here. That'll give you 5 military tech that you can go and redeem. If you want to do the valuables bundle, you can immediately get all the valuables that are inside the game. It goes ahead and spawns those in for you. If you want to do one of the money bundles, so you only have to redeem one of these once. You can redeem all of them if you like, but let me show you an example of what that looks like. So for example, if you want to get a little extra money on the side, you don't want to have to constantly grind for cash, you could do something like Money Hundreds. And that will go ahead and add, if we go over here to our inventory side, that'll add this 250 over here to my inventory. Now I'll mention that it won't actually get rid of this when you move it. So if you go over here and you hit yes, it will basically move $250 into your system, but it'll stay there. So you can pretty much go over here and redeem this as many times as you want and continue to get that money. That's true of any one of these different money systems. So if you do want to actually get some of this cash, I mean, for example, if you use the millions one, which is my favorite, if we redeem the millions one and we go down, you can see here that we now have over 1,250,000, and you can actually select any amount of money across that amount, and then you can move that immediately to your inventory. So then if we look over here, I'm a rich man now, and I can have as much things and items as I want inside the game. Not highly recommended for those of you who are trying to be immersed and actually play the game through. It is obviously a big cheat, and so you know, I'm not advertising this other than to say, you know, please do so knowing that it will affect the game overall. Obviously, you won't have to work for money anymore. Same with the crystals. If you want to go ahead and immediately spawn in crystals for you to use, you can also get access to, let's see, the boosts and potions bundles. So if you want to get all the different boosts as well, you can also spawn those in, and I believe all the trophies. So for example, if you wanted all of the high tier trophies, you can also pull those in. So the end result of that is that we end up with quite a few things over here in our inventory that will allow you to very quickly move into the game and start to do the quests and do the different things as you want without having to worry about grinding for those items. I will also mention that in this low tier section, there is also the essential crafting kit. You can also do that one if you're also trying to get around some of those resources and the grinding for resources. That will give you all the resources in the game as well. And so if you want to just sit around and kind of craft things and play within the game without having to grind, you can absolutely do so. Military tech is here as well, the trophies, and let's move over to the XP. So with the XP system, there's 4 different tiers here. So for the first one, I've created one that basically for 1 hour, it will boost your XP by 200%. So you use it like an inhaler, and then as you go around and you're swinging, you swing in enemies, you will get 200 times or 2 times the amount of XP. Use these carefully. I did set the lower tier ones to where they're stackable, but I believe the lower tier is stackable twice, 3 times. When you get to these other ones, these ones you can actually go and start to stack up multiple times. So I believe the max version here, the 1 day ones, you can basically stack, I believe, up to 9 times. So if you essentially wanted to unlock everything in the game very quickly within that time period, you could do so. It will bake into your save, so if you exit the game and come back, it should still apply. Everything should be baked into there to where you have that period of time inside the game to enjoy your XP boost. Then lastly is the permanent Lucky XP booster. So what this does is that if you take this, it will permanently apply 200%, and I think that is actually, I think that is correct. It's 200%, not 300. But you can essentially do this one as many times as you want as well. So what this will do is it will boost your stats repeatedly to where you will always gain more XP immediately. So let's go ahead and move these over to our inventory so that you can see what these do and how to use them. So we'll go ahead and move them over, and then we'll load these into our consumables. And then also if we go here to our skills, let's see, we are level 14 on legend levels, and this does actually work for the legend levels, so stand by for that as well. All right, so then we'll go and let's say we want to go ahead and apply. Let's start low so that way you can kind of see what we're doing here. So if we go here and we just start killing some enemies, you can see there that we got 11 from that, 16, 19, 20. So about at that pace. All right, so let's go ahead and take one of these boosts and just see what we're dealing with here. So if we do this, so you can see there, it just adds a little bit more XP with each one. Not too much more, but you can definitely stack these to where it will become a lot more. Let's go ahead and try one of the higher ones. So let's go ahead and use the hourly. So that's still doing 6. 19. Let's go ahead and stack another one. And it may be due to being so high on the legend levels there already. As you can see, actually, I wonder if the numbering is a little different. So I'm actually watching the little gold bar there on the side. I was doing this earlier, and it was like, once I started doing this a couple of times, it pretty much took no time at all. And let's go ahead and do the permanent as well. So it's not moving quite as fast as I was expecting there. So we'll go ahead and do one of the permanent ones. There we go. So the permanent one definitely jumped it up very quickly there. So let's go try now. There we go. And we can go ahead and take another. Now remember, these are actually permanent, so this will actually stick around for the entire playthrough of the save game. You could roll it back, and please let me know what you guys think about doing kind of a undo system, but for now it's kind of a permanent setup here. So as you can see there, we're actually getting quite a bit of XP now. And so as you start to play the game, you could very quickly level up your legend levels, especially at the lower levels. I mean, I was unlocking like a level every couple of seconds there. So a couple of things that I'll mention while I'm actually running around. I actually saw one of my buddies over here. So with the spawn system and adding so many different zombies, I think he probably, yeah, he's still here. So this is one of the LOD zombies. These are currently appearing because of so many different diverse zombies that I've added to the level list. Please be aware that he is in there. I am aware of him. And so far, the only way that I've gotten him to go away is by actively removing so many of the diverse pools. And so I basically got it down to the point where it was like, if you exceeded, I believe it was around, I think it was like 14 different zombie pools, which, I mean, the mod brings in about 34 compared to the vanilla, maybe 8. And so because of that, it started to show up, and I still haven't identified the best way to get this guy to not show up anymore. I could basically play around with it to the point that it doesn't show up anymore, but I have to remove several of the zombies to pull that off. So I am still looking into that issue. I am aware that there are still some invisible zombies inside the game. I actively am working on that. I released a pretty major update the other day that brought in these damaged zombies and also redid all zombies inside the game. So around 800 new zombies, including another 100 new variants of zombies to add to the world. In this process, I had hoped that it actually had removed the invisible zombies, but I have seen myself and seen reports that the invisible zombie is still inside the game. I am actively working on those, and as of 1.5, I'm hoping to have those removed, but please bear with me with that one. It's something that as they continue to do the official updates, they will continue to get back in the system, because if they update a model or a material and it causes the entire mesh to no longer be able to compile properly, you'll get invisible zombies. So please bear with me with that. Now, moving on to the mod config side of the house, I wanted to show you guys these new values that you can find inside the mod config. So with this latest version, you can now find this trader item amount modifier. And so what this does is that this is directly plugging into the trader system to allow you to be able to set kind of the overall values and the number of items that are shown inside the traders. The idea behind this is that if you wanted to actually make resources less scarce inside the wasteland, not the Commonwealth, then you could actually go in here and very easily adjust some of these settings to make things less common inside the wasteland. So for example, if you wanted to go in here and make it to where certain items were more rare inside the traders, and I have made this fairly generic for now so that I can get your feedback, but then also make it more of a randomized system. The more you really start to narrow it in on certain details, I'm going to need, some of the very specific asks that you guys may have on items for the traders, but really the idea here is to make the system more randomly generating different items as you explore the world and based on your levels. So if you, for example, you wanted to make resources less common inside the wasteland, you could go in here and go to the minimum amount and drop this down to 1. And for example, while I have you guys here, always make sure, as highlighted here, that whatever your max number is, it has to be greater than your lowest or your highest minimum number. So just make sure that you never exceed. So for example, if you go in here and set this to like 5, 8, 12 or 15 and then 25, make sure that you're setting that additional number for the max up to something like 26. Never go any lower because you don't know how these are stacked up on the back end of the code. So if you do decide to just start jacking up numbers like crazy across the mod config, always make sure that your max numbers always are at least one higher than any given min number, if that makes sense. So for example, if we wanted to go in here and reduce all the items in the wasteland to where you had less resources as you traveled around the world, then you could set all of these to 1. And so as you go to each trader, you can expect each trader to have a pretty bare minimum number of items at their disposal. That being said, I have greatly expanded the number of items that they could have inside the shop. So that being said, you will get less items, but you'll still get a better diversity than was currently available in the vanilla game. So if we go ahead and reset these back, it goes the other way as well. So for example, as I just said earlier, if you did want to make every trader have an abundance of items, you could go in here and do something like 5, 6, 7, 8, and that will make every single time you have a group of items, it will spawn at least 5 of that item. So if I can set that to like an example is like miscellaneous items inside the loot, weapons, they will have to spawn at least 5 of that group. What this can result in is that sometimes this can result in you having double of an item show up in the list, but it's not that big a deal. But just be aware of that. So we would need to set this to something like 9, 10, 11, and 14. And so this would allow us to basically, 5 times at least the number of items inside the wasteland. As you're traveling to every trader, you should start to see more of these items show up. I'm actually pretty excited to see where this system goes. Please, as always, give me your feedback. Let me know how you enjoy this system and how you're using it on your side. Down below this are all the items that are added by the mod itself. So these pulls are very specific to the items that I'm adding through the mod. So if you want less of these, if you want more of these, you can set these here. For most of these, yes, all of these, the min is 1, and so you can actually go in here and set these lower if you would like. You can set them higher if you like, and that would allow you to get access to more of the mod's content at each one of the traders. So hopefully that allows you guys to get more of the base building content, more of the companions, whatever information, or I apologize, whatever assets you're trying to get access to or features you would like to get access to. It has already been provided through this update, but if you would like to double down and get more of those added to the traders, you can do so through here. So switching over, I do have an update on the Armor Overhaul, so I'll go ahead and switch over to that. For anybody that is just interested in the update for 1.4H, I'll be switching the topic over to the upcoming 1.5 at this time. So one of the things that's been ongoing, so for those of you that have been following the updates, basically as I'm continuing to write new software every day actually, it's actually been really exciting. So it turns out there's way more than I originally anticipated, and I'm super excited because I've been able to actually go through and do more than I was originally hoping. And so let me show you guys a quick preview of what that looks like. So let me move this here. So this is a good overview of all of the items that will be coming with this next update. I will mention that this is not all of it. This is simply some simple stuff that I've been setting up for the next update in the way of the different items or models themselves. On the back end of this is a lot of skills and different systems that are going to come into play with each one of these. But if we fly down a little bit, you can see we have a ton of new pants, shoes, body parts, helmets, caps, pretty much I'm going to make this claim now because I'm hoping I can support it. Pretty much every single piece of clothing inside the game will be coming out with 1.5 to where they will be playable, where you can actually combine and try different things. I'm creating a new approach to the slot system that I hope you guys appreciate, where you have the concept of clothing and then you have the idea of actual utility or armor systems that will go into that bracers slot. So instead of using that for that one specific piece of armor on your arms, that's actually where you will load in your different harnesses, backpacks, parachute systems, utility gear. I'm making utility gear into helmets. I'm making utility gear into your wearables to where if you want to be able to carry more weapons, if you want to be able to loot more things, all sorts of things are coming with this next update that I hope you guys are super excited about. And with some of that, as always, looking forward to your guys' feedback. One of the things that I'm thinking about trying as well is that there are a lot of meshes inside the system that were not designed to be just shoes. They did create the concept of the shoe system, and I know that that's how it's being used in the current game. I didn't have the ability to really have a mesh that I could remove pants altogether, so there really always is just the defaults and then the shoes. What I'm thinking about doing here in the future is actually making the shoes actually contain the pants and the shoe wear, and then make that pant slot actually your armor or your utilities that are applied down to the actual legs as well. So it's not just your torso utility or your torso armor, it is also your pants armor as well. This would allow us to have a lot more mix and matching of utility gear, weapon holsters, backpack systems, to where you would be able to mix and match those systems without it being so cosmetic to just your pants. So your shoes could actually act in part to apply a different pant to your character, and then your armor and everything else could apply down to that pant slot. But I am starting to work a lot more with the transmog system, to where the idea is that not everything is going to fit perfectly. You are going to have to mix and match a little bit and try different things to get different armor pieces to work and overlap each other properly. There will be clipping, absolutely. But I am trying to bring a cosmetic update with this, so you'll be able to change your characters, facial features, through the skin system that I've already got, where you change the actual original character, you'll be able to actually change your facial hair, your actual hair itself. You'll be able to wear, clothing. So the concept of having utility gear, clothing, armor, all of that's coming with 1.5. It's actually turned into a pretty massive endeavor at this point. And let me switch over to the actual application itself. So along with all of these updates, here's the actual updated application to date. So the latest version, what I've done with the latest version is basically provided a hell of a ton more clothes and different options throughout here. So each one of these things has now been handcrafted. So all of these different options have been handcrafted through all the available clothing so that you end up with a good amount of diversity. What is missing is where I go in there and actually pull all of the content from pre-made characters that are already in the game. So right now, these are all just the armors that I've created by hand. What I'm looking at now is actually parsing more of the content that's already hidden away in the game so that I can utilize the information on the NPCs themselves to actually go ahead and create some armors that are already mixed and matched throughout the game, because I only have 6 slots to work with. If I had more slots, and I am, so some of you may remember I tried to add additional slots previously. I haven't quite figured out how. If I can get contact with Techland on this issue, I might actually reach out to them and find out how I can go to create like 9 slots, because that would actually go a long way here with mixing and matching some of these, so I'm not having to spend so much work trying to bake it all into a good visual piece. You could actually go in there and create your own armors pretty dynamically by having more slots available, but we'll come back to that. So one of the things that I've been working on lately is just this idea of descriptions and how we're accessing this information and how this information is kind of understood on your part. Once you receive this, having that ability to understand what is this piece and what does it do, but then also I've updated the code to where now, instead of it just loading in and parsing my JSON data as I was doing before, it now actually builds JSON data as you load this in. So the idea of, in the future, we could all work together to create new visualizations as a modding community, and actually have a master list or something that's in the cloud, and then have versions, local versions. You could actually go in here and select the different outfits that you wanted. So for example, if we wanted to, for example, utilize the visualizations that are only in the base game, so we can actually go here and say it's going to be scripts, inventory, visualizations. So if we go in there and let me see if it's going to rebuild this. It actually didn't rebuild this for me. And eliminate. That being said, I don't think I haven't tried this before to remove information dynamically like this. And so it doesn't look like that removed that data when it did that. But basically the idea is that I'm updating this to where it will, once it's building this information out, you'll be able to switch this information dynamically and load in those visualizations. And a large part of that comes from the descriptions that are built, and I'm guessing it's because it's looking for changes and it didn't see changes, because it's actually all of these vanilla versions are currently in there. So for example, actually let's switch back really quick here to the original one. So if we go back to the one I'm working on here, we'll go ahead and load this one in, and to show you guys an example. So as I go in here and create a new visualization, we now have the idea or the concept of having descriptions for each one of these things. But let's say we go in here and we create a new visualization, and this will be Banshee 2, and we'll call this test and say this is a test. And then if we go ahead and try to load that one back in, and we'll need to go to infected, which is down here at the bottom, and then we'll need to do torso add-on. And yeah, so it looks like my parser is just not working right now, but it's all a continued effort to be able to dynamically build this data and to also then go through and parse and update these lists so that as I'm continuing to update the descriptions and build new armors and parse through all of the available armors throughout the game, all of this information could be pulled in dynamically so that we're able to build this new armor system very quickly and also share as a community together here in the future as we're building out new armor sets that we enjoy. So please stand by for 1.5. I'm actively working on several new tools and several new things that are all going to lend into the content that is released with 1.5. It's going to be a pretty exciting update. It's going to have thousands of new changes and new content, and I'm looking forward to getting that over to you guys. I just want to make sure that what you guys get with 1.5 is the highest level quality that I can get while mass producing this much content, and so please stand by for that update. I look forward to it, and thank you guys so much for your support during the meantime. I hope you guys enjoy 1.4H while I'm continuing to work on 1.5. Stay tuned for coming updates, and I look forward to talking to you guys next time. Stay safe and happy gaming.